For years, we've been making health decisions based on snapshots. But what happens when you can see your body's response to everything? Every meal, every workout, and every night of sleep in real time, 24/7.
The future of longevity isn't guesswork.
No more.
It's continuous insight, like learning from Oura plus Stelo. We're going to give you your first peek into this first of its kind technology in this video.
So here's the problem. Traditional health metrics don't give us complete data. It's very incomplete. And now, for the first time ever, we have this information available to us, and it's from Oura plus Stelo.
We can guess at what we eat, how much we exercise, maybe how much we sleep, but we don't really know how all of these factors truly interact and impact your individual body or my individual body.
Each body is very different and it responds very differently. We only have a general set of circumstances and rules that we work with.
For example, a cup of tea that you have after lunch may impact you differently than it impacts me. I may not be able to get to sleep after that cup of tea right after lunch, whereas you might sleep like a baby. Who knows?
So the question is, what would happen if we could connect all of these dots and see the whole picture, every bit of your health data, and you can tell your personal health story?
Well, now we have all this information right at our fingertips with the Oura Ring 4 and the Stelo Continuous Glucose Monitor. If you'd like to see a full video on how he set this up and how to use these devices, let us know in the comments below.
What if you're loving the idea of the Oura Ring, but not quite ready to commit to the continuous glucose monitor getting stuck on your arm? That's okay too. We're going to approach this from two different perspectives because there's a lot to be learned and gained from the Oura Ring, and there's a lot of different information that's meant to be learned from the Stelo. So we're going to have you focus specifically on Oura Ring data, and I'm going to focus on how these two items integrate. And we're going to be sharing with you guys over the next couple of weeks and months exactly all the insight that we learned. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that.
It's okay if you're not ready to jump in with the Stelo just yet. You can just use and get a lot of data from the Oura Ring. It's all about that 1% better, and see how many of those 1% you can add up over time.
So why is it that we say the Oura Ring is only half of the data? Oura Ring tracks our sleep stages, our readiness, our activity. It tracks our temperature and our heart rate variability. However, it doesn't give us the rest of the picture.
Enter the Stelo. The Stelo, as the name implies, continuously monitors your glucose levels without finger pricks after every meal. And now these two technologies work together. The data integrates, so you can kind of see exactly those factors that Tony mentioned with your heart rate variability, with your activity level. What happens when you introduce the glucose from your foods? You can see the whole picture.
Yeah, and this is the first time that these two products or any products of this kind have integrated like this. This is the very front end of this. We don't have a lot of information to give you guys today about what it's doing. We're going to show you guys a little bit of stuff on the app. And there's also a pretty cool integration that we're starting to play with. It's a separate app. It's called Strava, and it is a community app for users of the Oura Ring. So we have created a community in there, and we're gonna put the details in the description. And it's important to note that this is the very early stages of technology, and we know that they change quickly. So if we ever move on to a different community app, know that we're going to put that in the description. So what? What's so exciting about this technology? Why should you care about this, and why should we care about it so much?
Well, metabolic health is the key to longevity. It impacts everything: your aging, inflammation, your energy, and guess what impacts metabolic health?
Glucose.
Glucose. Glucose stability is directly linked to your metabolic health.
I would have to say the biggest drawback on this is cost. This is not the most cost-effective solution, with Oura Rings running up to $500 and the glucose monitor for a 3-month supply is around $250 or $100 a month. However, I do want to say I'm not going to wear this continuous glucose monitor forever. I think that after 3 months that I'm going to have all the insight that I need into what's going on with my body. And probably about a year from now, I'll do another month.
It's an investment in your health, right? Like, we can pay this money now and make changes now that will decrease our risk of having these diseases and medical expenses down the road, right? So you are making an investment. It is an investment in your health and in your quality of life, and you'll hopefully avoid bigger costs later down the line because your health is going to be in such great shape.
We created a couple of real world scenarios for you. Now, these are stories that we have made up. However, they are very real applications as to how this can work. And we're going to start off telling you about Lisa. Tell me a little bit about Lisa, Tree.
Meet Lisa. Like many of us, she's tried every diet trending on social media. Keto, paleo, vegan, intermittent fasting, you name it. Some worked temporarily, others left her feeling worse. I was doing everything right, according to the latest podcast I listened to, but nothing stuck, she recalls. The frustration was overwhelming. I felt like my body was working against me. Then Lisa started using Oura Ring alongside Stelo Continuous Glucose Monitor. Within weeks, the mystery unraveled. Her body showed intense glucose spikes after healthy smoothies that were disrupting her energy and sleep. But the real revelation? Those spikes were 3 times worse when she slept poorly the night before. Something only visible when comparing her Oura sleep data alongside her glucose patterns. By shifting her breakfast timing by just 90 minutes and adjusting her smoothie ingredients based on her personal data, Lisa stabilized her glucose, improved her sleep scores by 20%, and finally found sustainable energy throughout the day. It wasn't about finding the perfect diet, Lisa realized. It was about finding my perfect timing and combinations. No wellness guru could have prescribed that for me. Only my own data could. For the first time in years, I don't feel like my body is a mystery.
Robert's father was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes at age 65, the same age as his grandfather had developed it. Robert saw this future that he wanted to avoid. It felt like a family legacy that I was destined to inherit, he says. The fear kept me up at night, wondering if I was already heading down the same path without knowing it. Robert decided to change his story. Using the Oura Ring with Stelo Continuous Glucose Monitor, he discovered something that his doctors had missed. Despite having normal fasting glucose levels during checkups, his CGM revealed dramatic glucose fluctuations throughout the day, especially after stress at work. What surprised him the most was seeing how his body temperature and heart rate variability on his Oura Ring would shift before the glucose spikes appeared, giving him access to early warning signs that his father and grandfather never had. By implementing targeted stress reduction techniques, exactly when his Oura metrics showed early warnings, Robert reduced his average glucose variability by 38% in 3 months, leaving his doctor stunned by the improvements in his metabolic markers. I'm not just avoiding my family's health trajectory, Robert says. I'm creating an entirely new one, based on real-time insights into my unique physiology. That peace of mind alone has been worth every penny.
Each of these scenarios clearly showed us that your body's responses are unique to you. It's not just data, it's your personal roadmap to metabolic health. And the best part, you don't have to go to the doctors to start this journey. You can pop this ring on your finger and the monitor on your arm and get this insight. You can see trends. You can get into these apps and really hone in on what some of your behaviors are telling you.
Yeah, I've made lots of changes in just a few days of seeing what the Stelo and CGM have told me.
The same, and even with the Oura Ring myself, I know I try to like trick it, but really I'm doing the things I need to do to reduce my stress levels so I don't trigger the ring.
Correct. So what do you guys think of the Oura plus Stelo? We'd love to hear your thoughts, and if you've learned any new insights, we'd love to hear that as well. Make sure you share them with the worldwide tribe in the comments below. I know we are all excited to finally have this technology that puts users' longevity science directly into their hands.
We would love for you to be an interactive part of this journey. So join us in the Strava app. Check out the description and the details so you can find us.
This isn't just about tracking. It's about transforming your relationship with your body for the long haul. The video coming up next is going to give you more information about all the things that we have learned about our bodies with Oura and Stelo along the way. We'll see you guys there.